On this episode of Cape Media News, we check in with the Center for Coastal Studies to learn about a right whale calf and its mother that was spotted in Cape Cod Bay, learn about green burial, the environmentally friendly way to bury a loved one, and talk with Patti Machado about the 5th Annual Youth Job Fair. These stories and more, this is Cape Media News. This is Cape Media News, your local authentic newscast for Cape Cod. I'm Gabrielle Rawson. Thank you for joining us. Well, COVID-19 vaccinations continue to be a hot topic on Cape Cod this week. And for educators, childcare workers, and school staff who have been patiently waiting for their opportunity to get vaccinated, it seems the wait is over. The Barnstable County Department of Health and Environment announced this morning they've organized a COVID-19 vaccine clinic that targets those who work with kids. The clinic will be held at Cape Cod Community College beginning this Saturday, March 20th, and will run every Saturday through April 3rd. The clinic is open to K through 12th grade educators, childcare workers, and school staff. It's also open to those who qualify under Phase 1 of Governor Baker's phased vaccination plan. If you're eligible and you'd like to schedule an appointment, visit maimmunizations.org. Boats on trailers wrapped in plastic is a common sight on Cape Cod in the off-season. But what happens to all that shrink-wrapped plastic once it comes off the boats in the spring? Most of the time it ends up in a landfill. That's why the Woods Hole Sea Grant program, in collaboration with the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension, is conducting a free shrink-wrap recycling program across Cape Cod from April 16th to June 30th, 2021. This year's program features 6 drop-off locations around the Cape. In Bourne, Chatham, Dennis, Eastham, and Wellfleet, boaters can recycle their clean, bundled shrink wrap at their local transfer station. And in Falmouth, a collection site has been set up at McDougall's Boatyard. To learn more about this recycling program and its guidelines, locations, dates, and times, visit seagrantwhoi.edu. Have you ever seen a North Atlantic right whale? I haven't either. That's because they're critically endangered and facing extinction. Earlier this month, the Center for Coastal Studies Right Whale Ecology Program got a wonderful surprise when they spotted a familiar right whale known as millipede swimming in Cape Cod Bay. But that wasn't all. Aerial surveillance revealed millipede was traveling with a baby. Cape Media News met with Stormy Mayo, director of the Right Whale Ecology Program, to talk about the importance of this amazing discovery of life. Emily Tulloch reports.
Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Emily Tulloch. Today's guest is Stormy Mayo, director of the Right Whale Ecology Program for the Center for Coastal Studies in Provincetown. He's here to tell us all about the first right whale calf and its mother to arrive in Cape Cod Bay for the 2021 season. So the Center for Coastal Studies Right Whale Ecology Program discovered a North Atlantic whale mother-calf pair in the Cape Cod Bay. So can you tell us about this experience?
Actually, the experience was had by my aerial survey team. We have a group of very highly trained field researchers who fly with pilots in a small aircraft, and this whale is a whale that we know well, one that we have seen over many years. She comes back here quite often. Each individual whale has their own markings, so we're able to tell one from another. This was a special sighting because it's the earliest that we've seen a mother-calf pair make the migration all the way up from the coast of Florida and Georgia into these waters. So a very special sighting. We know from colleagues who work in Florida and Georgia that this mother gave birth back in December. So it was a very early birth and an early arrival. Maybe that's connected. And it also, according to my air survey team, was special because the calf is very large. again, probably because of an early birth. So exciting on all accounts.
So from my understanding, right whales are endangered due to human activity. You guys estimate there to be about 356 left. So can you tell us how human activity has contributed to the species near extinction?
The problem that right whales have is that the birthing rate, the calving rate, right whale babies are called calves, that calving rate has been low now, really below where it should be for decades. And on the other side of the equation, the death rate has been high. And so if you look at the equation of births versus deaths, it's a simple result. And in right whales, that's a negative. So the right whales are losing numbers, and it appears that the best known causes are due to strikes by ships, being run over by ships, and entanglement in fishing gear, ropes, synthetic ropes that tangle the whales up, stop them from feeding, cut them deeply, and eventually kill them. So we have low calving and high mortality usually from human causes, from what we know. And the result is a very low population that comes to Cape Cod waters each winter, but its numbers are decreasing.
Do you think this calf sighting is speaking to the resilience of the right whale species? And do you think that this could be a sign that, they're making a comeback in numbers?
It's always encouraging to have calves born. And this year, our reports from the calving area is of a larger number of calves than recently. Something around 18 calves have been born, but we know that already 3 of them have died. So it's kind of a crazy metaphor, but it's almost going up the down escalator. We can't seem to gain. So although this is a very encouraging scene down in the calving grounds of more calves born, we've really got to find a way to control the mortalities. I think most of us are marginally encouraged by this year's calving, but somewhat horrified by the number of calves that appear to have died already. It's an exciting sighting because this mother and calf had to make it the long trip, probably 1,000 to 1,200 miles from Florida calving grounds to Cape Cod waters. Once they arrive here, they're in Cape Cod Bay. They're the most protected they are anywhere in their entire range because of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts having very strict controls on boats and fishing. But as soon as they move out of Cape Cod Bay, they're again in waters that threaten their future. So right now, if they remain here, they're in good shape.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
You bet. It was good to talk with you.
For Cape Media News, I'm Emily Tellick.
If you'd like more information on the research of right whales, you can visit coastalstudies.org. Up next, learn about the 5th annual job fair in Barnstable.
You've always protected me.
Thanks, Dad.
Every day of my life.
Hold on there, buddy. Hold on.
I'm older now, but I still need you.
Kids are getting addicted to prescription pain pills.
Can you still protect me?
You can protect them. Kids who talk with their parents about opioids are less likely to misuse them. When you have conversations about drugs and alcohol, make sure you talk about the risks of prescription pain pills too. Find out what you can say.
Do you know a teen or young adult that's looking for work? The Barnstable Youth Commission, in coordination with local stakeholders, Barnstable High School, and Mass Hire, is hosting its 5th annual Youth Job Fair. Last year, more than 30 businesses and 250 applicants participated in the live event. Due to gathering restrictions, this year, the job fair will be virtual. Cape Media News reports. Hi, you're watching Cape Media News. I'm Gabrielle Rawson. I'm here today with Patti Machado, who's the Director of Recreation for the Town of Barnstable. Welcome to the show, Patti.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We invited you here today to talk about the Youth Job Fair. I understand that it's going to be a little bit different this year. Can you tell us about it?
Yes. Unfortunately, with these times, we just have to come up with a different way. And we're hoping that we'll see how this goes. That's all. But it's important to give our young people the opportunity to connect with the businesses that do hire youth. I mean, it's very challenging because not everyone does. And it's hard for kids to know where to go and who's going to hire them. And so they tend to follow wherever their friends go. Because they know that, oh, their friend got a job there, so I'll go there. But they don't realize there's a lot more out there and a lot more opportunity. And it may be of things that they might be more interested in. They should be able to find something where they can find as much growth as possible as well.
Absolutely. So this is your fifth youth job fair. You guys are moving it virtually. Tell me a little bit about what the process is for a youth who's going to attend this year. It's virtual, so tell me about that. And do you have a lot of businesses that are signed up to do this year?
So right now, that's where our focus is trying to get the businesses to sign up. The number right now is low, but we're anticipating an increase because it's much simpler for them to sign up and connect with the kids this way. But we're doing the outreach for that right now. We are scheduled for the Youth Summit. The kids picked the 28th of April for the date. So you're the first to know that. And as soon as we're hoping to have the businesses all set by the end of next week, and then we will start advertising the link for kids to sign up. So we'll go to all the schools on the Cape because it's a Cape-wide, we encourage everybody to come in and if they're looking for a job, even if it's just the experience of seeing what's out there, it doesn't necessarily, if you're looking for a job and maybe something isn't in your area, but you want to see what it's all about, this is a great opportunity for you to do that. The one thing that I do ask is that the youth, if the youth are out there or the parents are watching this, it is important to have the youth, actually the person that's looking for the job on. It turns businesses off. So there's a little heads up out there to the parents if a parent is standing behind them, because then it does this kid really want this job, or does their parent want this job for them? So there is a balance, and I understand some kids can be nervous, and virtually it's great because you could be off and not be in the picture with the student, but in the background, just kind of helping. But it is very, very important for businesses to hire the youth, not the parents.
Absolutely. And I know, okay, so first of all, April 28th is when it's going to start. Now, in the past, you've had these live events. It's been a one day, which is great, in-person event, very exciting, all of the businesses there and the students. Now that it's online, you can do this for longer than a day, right? So what's the plan there?
The plan is to do it for a day, and then the businesses will be available. We'll have, the nice thing here is that we're going to have the businesses live so they can actually tell you what is offered, what their jobs are. Then you can reach out to them afterwards, kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we'll be able to do it any longer. I mean, the thing is, the Youth Commission works full time. It goes to school full time, plays sports. So it is a one-shot deal. We will have a list on our website afterwards of the businesses that are hiring. So people can reach out afterwards. But this is just so that the kids have the opportunity to meet up and find out what is offered at those jobs.
Okay.
Again, what a great opportunity for kids to be able to find out that's what this was here. It was a connection, and we didn't do the interviewing or anything here. It was, you go around, you kind of find out what each job was, and then you find a place where you want to actually apply, get the application. And the good thing that we had here was we had a lot of we had a job coach here, Warren Rutherford was here to help kids understand what the child labor laws are. A lot of businesses, the kids need to understand what the hours are. It's like they get out there and they want to work 1,000 hours and they're limited to what they can do. So they need to understand what they can do and make sure that the businesses understand that as well, which is one of the things that's been nice for us to share with them as well. There's been a few in the past that didn't know what the labor laws were, child labor laws were. And so we help the businesses as well.
Wonderful. Well, it sounds like an incredible learning opportunity for everyone. You guys have heard it here first, April 28th. If people want to learn more about this event, if they're a student and they want to sign up to attend, where do they go?
So we'll have it on our website soon, but we're trying to, once we have all the businesses, because we want to advertise what businesses will be there so that they know what they're signing, what's there to look at.
Okay.
But again, like I know we have Stop and Shop, we have different, the YMCA, the Recreation Department, there's a couple of landscapers, the kids can do weeding, there's certain things they can do, and there's opportunity all over the place. So we hope that every child is able to find a job that fits them.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
If you'd like to attend the event in search of work, or if you're a business that's hiring youth 14 through 17, visit townofbarnstable.us/departments/youth services. Up next, learn about eco-friendly green burials. Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Gabrielle Rawson. Have you ever thought about the environmental impacts of traditional burial services? From caskets made out of non-biodegradable materials to embalming fluids that can seep into the soil, some believe there is a better, more eco-friendly way to bury a loved one. Cape Media News met with Candace Curry of Green Burial, Massachusetts, to learn more about what a green burial is and how it can lessen your carbon footprint. Emily Tulloch reports.
Are conventional burials environmentally friendly? From hazardous embalming fluids seeping into the soil and caskets made out of non-biodegradable materials, they might not be the best choice for someone living an eco-conscious lifestyle. But there is another option called a green burial, a process used prior to the Civil War but is now regaining traction.
The simplest description for a green burial is to say it's a simple burial of the body in which everything going into the earth, the body, the clothing, and the casket, are all biodegradable. If somebody has, a brand new knee or a new hip or even a metal plate in their head, it's okay for those things to go into the ground. But for the most part, we're talking about being buried in a sheet or a plain pine box that goes into the ground. There's no legal reason to be embalmed in the state of Massachusetts. And so it's about if you've lived a life in which you want to purchase organic foods and try to be sustainable and you're aware of your carbon footprint, going for the green burial is the way most people would like to go back to the earth.
Now, why choose to have a green burial compared to a conventional burial?
A conventional burial often involves today is a container going into the ground in order for a casket to go into the ground. Also, most services today involve embalming the body, which allows for a public viewing or a visitation. Often that process is required to help us grieve. Green burial recalls traditions practiced for centuries in which a family could help prepare the body for going into the ground, And in fact, when families get involved in the actual burial process, filling in the earth of the grave, it helps. That physicality of actually filling in the grave helps also with the grieving process. And it's another way of starting the grieving process. And it helps to soothe the grief. It's a way to put your loved one to bed and say goodbye.
Can you tell us why green burials are not yet allowed in most places?
They used to be always allowed. It wasn't until the 1940s to the 1970s where cemetery bylaws in the state of Massachusetts started to change. So somebody consciously had to write into the bylaws, well, let's put in these grave liners or these vaults, because as we got more mechanized, so we had larger equipment to mow our lawns, we had larger equipment to dig the graves rather than somebody hand digging a grave. There were sometimes collapses of the soil above a grave, because as the body decomposes, in fact, it does collapse a little bit over the first 18 months or so. So people were laborers had to go back and fill topsoil over those graves to help keep it smooth because it was easier to mow. It was a conscious decision to require these grave liners and vaults also because we started to think about space differently, and we had to make these spaces next to each other, right next to each other. So it also became easier to dig a grave if you knew that you were if the backhoe operator knew that they were going to hit the side of a grave liner, a concrete grave liner, rather than somebody's casket. But most of all, it was about, we became more mechanized and we became more industrialized, and we forgot about the fact that human beings are part of nature. And this really is about just allowing ourselves to go back to nature. So all across the world, green burial is practiced, or I should just say burial is practiced. And it's mostly in the United States where embalming is being used. We lost track in the mid-century about how to put ourselves back into the earth. And so now we're waking up to that as we wake up to a changing climate and think of ways to be more carbon neutral.
Can you expect to see green burial options on Cape Cod? According to Sophia Sayai of Green Burial, Massachusetts, there has been a great deal of interest across many of the towns, with Brewster, Wellfleet, and Provincetown offering green burial plots in limited capacity. For more information, visit greenburialma.org. For Cape Media News, I'm Emily Tellick.
If you'd like to learn more about green burial services, visit greenburialma.org. Well, that brings this episode of Cape Media News to a close. Please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next time with a brand new episode. Until then, stay healthy. With Cape Media News, I'm Gabrielle Rawson.